Do you read me?
Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me?
Pacho, this is Con Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower, Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. Say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Get some. Hurrah! What's going on, everybody? Another week has gone by, and Baby Friday is upon us, or Friday Night's Eve, as well as I like to call it, is here. And, well, goddamn, the weekend is almost here. So, sure, a lot of you are still on vacation, probably took advantage of the holiday kind of being in between the week, and you took some much needed vacation time or PTO from your company or whatever else that you're doing. So we got a good show. It's a post Fourth of July show. I think I did one last year as well. But before we get started, let's get all the pleasantries out of the way. This show is brought to you by Primerica. Primerica is a very great company. It's been around for almost 50 years, and they specialize in helping people out with not only learning about money, but saving money and getting out of debt with protecting their assets, insurance, as well as investing for the future, kids, and so on and so forth. And by the way, they are hiring. So the great thing about them is that it's flexible. You can work it on your own time, no quotas, none of that stuff. And you get some state licenses sponsored by them right from the bat. And as you learn as you go, and the licenses are yours to keep. So if you decide to move on, hey, not a bad way to start a career. And having, I used to know this guy that used to say all the time, hey man, whatever you do is get as many licenses as you can, because you never know when you're going to need them. So here's a great opportunity for you to do so. And I've had multiple licenses in the past, aside from this. And I've at one time or another, I've used them. So check them out. It's on the show description in the bio. What do you got to lose? Get some licenses and learn some cool stuff on regards to your debt. This show is also brought to you by Castle Global Services. Castle Global Service has an array of cool services for your home as well as your commercial business. One of the new products that they have is basically, now that this whole COVID nonsense is done and out of the way, because it's basically non-existent now, like it never happened. People are starting to travel once again. So they have the service called Truvi, and basically it's a travel concierge. They have two different options on there at a very, very minimal cost. But the bottom line is you get an entire concierge. You can book, you can do bookings at super cheap. And one of the best things is that if the country requires a visa, you could get all that stuff done there as part of your package services. So check them out, castleglobalservices.acnibo.com, and it's on. Just hit the services tab, and you'll have all the information there. Okay, it's all on the show description as well. So the show is also brought to you and sponsored now by the VA. So here's a message from them.
Hi, I'm Mike Richmond of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs with this message for veterans. Are you a veteran with a VA service-connected disability? Would you like to go on a hiking expedition and build camaraderie with other veterans who are facing similar mental health challenges? No Barriers Warriors organizes these hikes through the breathtaking mountains in western North Carolina. No Barriers helps veterans redefine their identity and purpose as they face past and present challenges. Their programs allow veterans to overcome physical and emotional boundaries, push through adversity, and step up to serve others. Their hiking experiences have changed thousands of lives for the better. No Barriers will soon be taking applications for its 2023 North Carolina expeditions. Email Marlene at nobarriersusa.org. That's Marlene at nobarriersusa.org. I'm Mike Richmond.
There's Mike Richmond. Usually when these things commission lately, it's just been like no Mike Richmond. So I'm like, hey, what the hell? Anyways, you've heard me say it before, and I'm going to keep beating this drum until everybody is on board and hears it. But hey, if you don't have a VA claim right now, so you try to get your 100% and get you over that hump, now's the time to do it, folks. Uh, we here at the show have helped out some other veterans, getting them in the right direction as to what to do and how to do it. But the bottom line, effort comes from you. So, but if you need assistance and you're kind of afraid of navigating the whole system, you know, drop us a line. You could go right there on our Facebook page and drop me a private message, and I'll get you taken care of. We'll schedule a call and show you what to do and where to go and who to talk to, and then that way, hopefully, you get your 100%, as well as and get compensated for whatever it is that you got going. Okay, and last but not least, hey, this show we wouldn't be here if the great Constitution wouldn't be around. So this show is all about freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, and all the other many great things that the Constitution provides for us, and which a lot of us here, some of you who are listen to the show, defended for however many years. I did it for 21 years, and I still do. So if you like what you hear, stick around, like, subscribe, and follow. If not, check something. If you don't like it, then hey, that's your right too, as an American. Check something out, perhaps from SitchRadio.com. They got a bunch of cool stuff on there. So anyways, let's kick it off. So, you know, I was it's a weird week in the sense that obviously everybody would prefer that Fourth of July would land on a Friday or on a Monday. I mean, that would be freaking fantastic. But obviously that's not the way a calendar works. So it happened to be on a Tuesday. So a lot of us, I know I did. I had to go to my regular job on Monday because last year the wife and I were actually she was overseas working and I was here, so we met up somewhere in Greece and had a great time, celebrated America's birthday out there. I think I was wearing a mankini with the American flag, very motivated. Or was it the wife that was wearing not a mankini but a bikini? So that would have been weird. She would have been wearing a mankini. Nonetheless, we're still very thankful, and we wished America happy birthday from over there. But I was just thinking, you know, what does Fourth of July mean to me as an immigrant or as an American? Now I've been an American, a naturalized citizen since my daughter, basically a week after my daughter was born. So I'm it's like 24, 25 years now, something like that. 99 was the day I became an American citizen. Best day ever. Uh, Best fucking day ever. So, but what does it mean, to me? And I guess being able to look from the outside, looking in. I mean, I was kind of looking through the interweb a little bit, but just for you folks, I mean, it was signed on July 4th, 1776, and then it has been basically it has remained a symbol of patriotism and pride in America. So, you know, I think America goes through some of these cycles where some of the people some of us forget where our beginnings, our humble beginnings, and by no means is America perfect. Obviously, if you want to look at people bashing America, talking trash about it, I mean, I'm sure you can go on your social networks and just find a shit ton of videos. Which, as somebody that has traveled quite a bit and been in, as the Marines him would say, in every climbing place, just about, I've been to places where, there's an independent, the country, there's a democracy, and somewhat the government is for the people. I mean, some of it's corrupt, some of it not. But I've also been, in places where, you know, shit is not like that. Case in point, I mean, Iraq was a great example. If you think that democracy here is so bad, let me tell you, a lot of us here in the U.S., especially those of us who got I guess the pleasure, and I mean that very hard and very lightly, very jokingly or sarcastically, that who got to deploy to Iraq during the push and see what one individual can do to one country and just basically decimate it and turn it into shit. While him and his cronies get basically keep getting richer of the backs and hard work and effort of others. That's a great fucking example. Excuse me. You know, in more modern times, if you think, I mean, look at Venezuela, very close to where I'm from. God damn. Excuse me. Let me just get this whatever I got going in my throat out of. Sorry about that, folks. Uh, you know, Venezuela is a country that's adjacent to Colombia. Again, as I've said in the past, I was born and raised in Medellin, Colombia. Venezuela is right next to us. By the way, Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, and Ecuador. Uh, Back in the late 17s, 1800s, it was called the Great Colombia. That's why their flag is very similar. So, but Venezuela having one of the strongest economies in Latin America, um, you know, before Chavez, I mean, that country was very well modernized and ahead of its times. Again, it was the strong economy of Latin America. It was, I mean, just like the U.S. is basically the economy, basically almost of basically of the world. Same thing, on that part as well. So I've only been there, very briefly, and when I landed in the airport on my way to Colombia from the U.S. But very beautiful country, great people, and everything. I mean, in just a blink, less than in 10 years, this dude stepped in and completely, turned that country to shit. And if you think it's pretty bad, just right here, I mean, talk to a Venezuelan over here, and they'll tell you, give you the full story. So don't think that if you're a younger person, say, well, that doesn't exist nowadays. Pick I would say pick up a newspaper, but I say, look, go ahead and start, go on Google or and put Venezuela and history and current times, and you'll hear all kinds of atrocities going on. you know. So with that being said, it's still to this day, it kind of it does chap my ass when I hear a young person or just somebody, not even a young person, just an individual as a whole, just bashing this country, how bad we are, and they have never in their lives, very little bit, ventured out to other places where you can say, "God damn, I have it pretty good," you know, hell, my wife and I we were working in the Middle East, and that country is basically ran. It's a monarchy style type of government, so and it's very well developed. I mean, very beautiful, very well developed, and everything. But uh, it's not. It's religion based, and as well as their monarchy who runs the country. So you say shit the wrong way, you talk bad about the hierarchy, that type of stuff. I mean, you'll find yourself kicked out of that if you're a foreigner. You'll find yourself kicked out of at the snap of a finger, or or thrown in jail, which it can happen. I mean, look at the folks in China, um, as well. I mean, that type of stuff does happen. I haven't had the pleasure to go to China. I would love to go check out the Chinese Wall, the Great China Wall, if sometime in my lifetime. But I had a good friend of mine. He served as a at the as an embassy guard, or as the OIC, officer in charge of detachment in China. And he says it's beautiful, it's great, but the government runs everything. I mean, and there's no such thing as Google. Their Google is called Badu. And for those of you who've been around as much as I have been, I remember to this day watching the Tiananmen Square um, protest back in the 80s. As a young child, not child, as a kid, as a pre almost teenager, watching that stuff on TV. That was some crazy shit. And then when you see the young man standing in front of the tank and he doesn't move, and basically he gets run over and crushed by a fucking tank, because they're trying to protest, the oppressiveness um, of that and the regime of that government, go ahead and Google that. Look up on their Badu. This is my friend who's telling me about this because again, he was the embassy is American country technically, but say, hey man, you look that shit up, anywhere over there, your screen turns blue, and then within 5 minutes there'll be people knocking on your door just because you're trying to look for information that technically to them it never happened and it doesn't exist. So you know we take those rights for granted, uh, a lot of the times. And again, I'm not trying to politicize this show, folks. All I'm trying to do is I'm just making you think um, of things that we do here and that we take for granted. Take uh, the year 2020 as a great example. You have people from many different, organizations, be it, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and all that shit. You know, riots and burning cars and all that stuff. To some degree, and as even you have that is a right for you to, you have a right to protest peacefully, but you have a right to protest. Hell, I mean, even the KKK has a right under the Constitution of the US. They have a right to gather, express themselves. We may not agree with it, you know. However, that's it's under the Constitution, freedom of speech, right? As long as it doesn't infringe upon me, and you're now you're in my backyard, or you put your hand on me, now we have an issue. See what I'm saying? So, but we take a lot of those things for granted, and people bash the U.S. You burn the flag. Let me tell you, it's more common now, but growing up in Latin America, in Colombia, you never saw people burning I didn't. Did it happen? Probably, but a lot of time, if somebody was doing that, you get your ass kicked. People over there, you know, it's was very and still is. Obviously with the times and obviously with you know social media and information being so prevalent. I mean, people express themselves, and they were having issues too. Not that long ago with people rioting and doing all kinds of dumb shit. You know, covered up, and I'm sure you heard of other countries like France, like the Yellow Jackets, and that type of stuff. But countries like that and other countries outside of here, they take some really hard stance on crushing, um, you know, riots, revolutions, whatever they take a very harsh and pretty brutal stance on preventing people from doing any of that stuff. I mean, the bottom line, what I'm trying to say, they don't fuck around. Is the bottom line? We take that for granted a lot of the times. So you know, what does Fourth of July mean? I mean, to me, it goes beyond, beyond burgers, beyond drinking beer. I know a lot of you, hey, it is, and we associate that with, but it's the one time a year where we, the majority of us, excuse me, come together as one, as Americans, and it doesn't matter whether whether you're legal or illegal. You're here now, and we adopt a lot of it's like me if I was living in somewhere else. I would, we adopt some of their things, the cultural things, their celebrations, whatever. We adopt that as a whole. So, yesterday on during 4th of July, we're driving around here in Miami, Florida, one of the neighborhoods called Hialeah, and we see Cuban people, Colombians, Venezuela, a lot of people going to the fireworks, Happy Birthday America, and everything. And my wife and I were talking, and obviously we're both, my wife is Japanese. I was born and raised Colombian, now an American citizen. But we're talking about how do people know? She asked, hey, how do people know what they're celebrating? And I kind of say, that's a good question. We just kind of simulate the cultures of that one place. So we get together and we do the fireworks, the burgers, and things. So, but being able to celebrate America's birthday and all the great things that it has provided for us. Like me, I love where I came from. I'll never forget my heritage. It'll always be Colombian. Colombia, runs through my blood, and so does America. However, I'm very well aware of the things that I've been able to accomplish being here. You know, where I'm from, it's not perfect. It's beautiful. The people are fantastic, but it's not perfect. It's had its shares of trials and tribulations. And I know that here I've had more opportunities than and I still do than I would over there. I mean, it's the bottom line. I mean, I came here as a young man, and as I was getting ready to, as I was looking at, okay, do I go to school or do I join the military? And I was like, hey, you know what? Let me join the military and do this thing. And I realized that, wow, for a country that has afforded me so many opportunities, I think this is the least that I can do is pay my time, pay my, my way of saying thank you for the things that have been provided for me and the sacrifices of many others. Shit, the sacrifices that my mom made for her to bring us here, you know, and start all over again. I think it was the least that I can do. So, I saw it as a time of, okay, well, I'm going to do 4 years and we'll go from there. And I ended up doing 21 years. So I'm pretty, thankful because the other day I was talking to somebody, man, I'm having an old man moment right now. We were talking, but in my speech, as I was talking to the Marines that, because as a senior, as an enlisted or officer, if you do 20 years, you rate what it's like a somewhat of a parade, so to speak. Your command will have Marines out there in platoons, and they'll throw out display vehicles and all kinds of really cool shit. And if they can make it happen, which by the way, I'm still pissed off to that first sergeant at headquarters battery who dropped the ball and couldn't get me the a small debt of the band of the base band or from the air wing unit. I'm still pissed off about that first sergeant. So you know who you are. You dropped the fucking ball. Anyways, you could get a small band to parade and play shit and tuk, 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 and the drums. It's really cool. Anyways, but as I stood there and I looked at those Marines out there in formation, and I said to them, it was always about you. It was never about me because I'm here standing in front of you today as an officer, you know, and through your help and your hard works and effort. So I made sure that I was a good servant to you, and I hope that I was a good example for others to see that who would have thought that this kid that was born and raised in Colombia and grew up, at a farm is standing here before you, talking to you as an officer. I'm here as an example. You too can do this. I get so much, teary-eyed talking about this because it's the truth. And it still holds true today. And I was telling this to when I was talking a couple of days ago to this person, and I'm like, it was one of the best moments ever. And I mean, I've always realized that I've always been lucky because when we used to deploy, and I mean, going to these countries and you see little kids, no shoes, you know, ragged muffin, shitty clothes, dirty, begging you for food, begging you for a fucking MRE, um, just doing this, man. Let me tell you, it'll break your it'll break your fucking heart. As a matter of fact, a lot of the Marines that we brought over there, it was a culture shock, dealing with them. In Colombia, you see that too. I mean, you see poverty. It's there's no gray area. There's fucking poverty and there's extreme poverty where I live under a house made out of pallets covered with tin. I'm not making this shit up, you know. So I mean, so it wasn't a shocking to me. It was still painful to see, but you know. So I'm very much feel lucky and thankful that I'm able to be in a country where we all come together. and as Americans, and celebrate the great things that this nation has provided for us, and the freedoms that it provides. Those of you who talk trash about, again, this country is not perfect. No country is. If you show me one country that has not a fucked up history on their background, then hell, I'll give you one of my Marine Corps retirement paychecks. Don't hold me to that, but I mean, it would be pretty fucking difficult. Um, for you to show me perfection. So it's not that, but the freedoms. Go try, go somewhere else and try some of the dumb shit that people try over here and do over here. Uh, and again, when they're exercising their rights in other places, I mean, that would not be accepted. You'll be sent to a reconditioning camp to become a better citizen, that type of stuff, or you just fucking disappear as a whole. So you know so the 4th of July, I mean, that was when July 4th, 1776 is when the Declaration of Independence was signed, and our forefathers, who basically fought, that thing is signed in blood, and the 13 colonies came together and basically, giving the big middle finger to the oppressing, back then, which is Britain. The big middle finger. Hey man, what a great thing that basically we just don't take shit from nobody. That's why nobody really fucks with us. And those who have, fuck around and find out. I'm sure a lot of us have heard that motto right there. So, but again, I just wanted to take a little bit of my time, of your time, to talk about this, and spread some patriotic wealth, so to speak, because I think we need it. I think we're a lot of us have these last couple of years, and I'm not trying to draw a line on the sand. These last couple of years have been, again, America goes through these cycles, and we've been on one of these cycles where we're really divided, folks. We're really divided, and the enemy, coming as a former tactician, actually, once a Marine, always a Marine. Once a soldier, always a soldier. The enemy is very patient. I'm telling you all this right now. The enemy is, whoever the enemy may be, they're fucking patient. And America, one thing that we are is we're forgetful. 9/11. When was the last time we may hear something around September timeframe, but that is it. And the enemy, remembers that, and they know that we're forgetful, and bam, and so we need to come together, folks, because the last thing we need is some other crazy, something crazy happening on our own backyard, where it's going to cost a lot of lives, and then some other asshole outside of the US saying, yep, it was us, we caught you with your pants down, now what? So, and it usually takes shit like that to bring us back together, and basically and basically go out there and put an ass whipping on somebody at the cost of some of our service members. So let's not do that, folks. Let's always, show the enemy that we're united as one, as United States, and as United Americans. So with that being said, folks, that's it for today. If you've been ruminating and having a hard time with, ruminating thoughts, going in the dark hole, please reach out to our show, reach out to the Military One Source, reach out to the VA suicide hotline, or reach out to me, but reach out to somebody, because the last thing we want to do is, nobody wants to do, while it's very commendable to do all these kinds of challenges out there, I don't want to do 22 fucking push-ups in the name of suicide. I don't. I want you to be here, and your family not to be asking themselves the question as to why. Why did this happen, and what else could I have done to prevent my loved one from taking their lives? So with that being said, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and end this. Ara, get some ice to mass. Daisuki. See you next week. Yacht, get some.